In this video, we'll learn how to format abbreviations, physical mailing addresses, and more. Sometimes you'll need to abbreviate something, and when you need to do that, you want to use the abbreviation element or abbr tag, which represents an abbreviation for an acronym. So let's type out a sentence. We'll create a paragraph, and then inside of our paragraph, we'll say, I know how to use scuba gear. And we'll save that out. And scuba is an acronym, so we want to wrap it in the abbreviation tag. So we'll type out abbr, and then we'll close it after we're done with the word scuba. So if we switch over to the browser and refresh, you can see that we now have a sentence that says, I know how to use scuba gear. And there doesn't appear to be anything special about scuba other than that the word is all capitalized, but that's something that we did on our own. So the abbr tag by itself is really just for semantics. Now, optionally, you can add the expansion of the acronym using the title attribute inside of the abbr tag. So let's go ahead and try that out. We'll switch back to our text editor. And inside of our first opening abbr tag, we'll add the title attribute, and we'll put in the expansion of the acronym. So scuba means self-contained, underwater, breathing apparatus. We'll save that out, switch back to the browser, and refresh the page. And as you can see, nothing looks different at first, but if we hover over the word scuba, you can see that we now have a title tag that says self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, the expansion of the acronym. Next up is the address element, and as you may have guessed, the address element represents contact information. So let's try it out. We'll switch over to our text editor, and we'll skip down a few lines here and open up our address tag, and then we'll close it. And then inside of it, I'll just put my name, pet it. We'll say I live on 1234 Example Road in the city of Metropolis, and hit save. And we'll switch back to the browser and refresh. And so far, nothing looks too special about this address other than that the text is italicized. But we can do a little bit better than that by adding in some formatting. So let's switch back to our text editor, and we'll add in some line breaks. So we'll add in a line break after the first line and the second line. And we don't need one after the third line because there's nothing that comes after it. So we'll save that out, switch back to the browser and refresh. And as you can see, we now have our address on 3 separate lines, as it should be. Now, if the address element is a child of the body tag, it is in our case, the address tag is a direct child or directly nested under the body tag, then it's contact information for the document. If it's inside another element, such as an element that's meant to represent a person or a place, then the address information is localized to that specific element. So for example, if you had a list of people with address tags inside of them, the address would be associated with each individual person and not necessarily the entire page. Next up is the cite element, and the cite element represents the title of a work, like a book, a movie, a song, or even specific things like a script for a TV show, an opera, a research paper, or a legal case report. It's fairly broad in scope. So let's type in some text. We'll skip down our address tag, and we'll type in a paragraph that says, my favorite book is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Then we can go ahead and add the cite tags. So around the title of the book, A Tale of Two Cities, we'll open up our cite tag, and then we'll close our cite tag. And if we switch over to the browser and refresh the page, you can see that we now have that paragraph there that says, "My favorite book is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens." And the title of the work, A Tale of Two Cities, is italicized. This is added by default in the browser. Finally, we're going to learn about the WBR element, which represents a line break opportunity. So let's say that you have a really long word or a long URL. We'll skip down a few lines here, and let's say that we had a long URL like thinkvitamin.com. We can add the WBR tag in the middle like this to separate words think and vitamin. So there's our WBR tag, which is a self-closing element just like the BR tag. We'll save that out, switch back to the browser, and refresh. And as you can see, we have a paragraph with the URL thinkvitamin.com, but it doesn't actually have a line break. That's because the WBR element won't always insert a line break like the BR element does. If there's not enough horizontal space to fit the whole word in, then the browser will break the text down to the next line in the place that you've specified with the WBR tag. So, in our case, that would be right after the word think and right before the word vitamin.com. The WBR tag isn't used very often, but it's still very important to be aware of if you come across one of these particular situations. That about wraps things up for text elements. Remember, it's important to use these elements to add semantic meaning to your page.